Well, good morning, councillors-elect, members of the public, who are on live streaming, the media here this morning, and West Coast Regional Council staff. Can I welcome you to the inaugural meeting of the West Coast Regional Council that will commence the triennium in the next 3 years of this council term. My name is Darryl Lewin, I'm the Chief Executive of the council, and I have to preside over the initial proceedings this morning until we get to the point where a council chair is elected. Councillors-elect, can I just say on behalf of all of the staff here at the Regional Council, congratulations to all of you on the support that you received from your communities across the West Coast to represent them. And on behalf of the staff, we really do look forward to working with you over the next 3 years and achieving the things that we want to achieve for the communities of the West Coast. So the proceedings this morning, first up, aware of any apologies. I don't think there's any apologies today, so we'll move on. The next order of business is declarations of interest. So what this is, councillors-elect, is this is not your pecuniary interest or anything like that in those forms that you have to fill out. This is our normal declaration of interest declarations at the beginning of every council meeting, where you just need to declare any conflicts associated with any of the items on the agenda this morning. So just give an opportunity for any of that. I suspect not. Thank you. So we now move to the declarations of election. And how we're going to run this part of the meeting. So this is the swearing in of each of the councillors. You can take an affirmation or an oath up here on this table. And you take the affirmation or the oath, sign the document, and I will countersign the document as I'm required to. And then we'll proceed through I think alphabetical order, starting with Councillor Birchfield being first. So is there any other matters around that we need to do? No. Okay, so we'll commence in terms of the signing. So Councillor Birchfield.
I, Alan John Birchfield, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the West Coast region, power, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of West Coast region by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Thank you. Yes.
Andy Kimball?
I, Andrew Wilson Campbell, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interest of the West Coast region, power, authorities and duties vested in imposed upon me as a member of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, Local Government Official Information and Meeting Act 1987, or any other act.
I, Ashley Thomas Casson, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the West Coast region the power, authorities, and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information Meetings Act 1987, or any other act. And whilst I'm holding the floor, I just wanted to make a couple of quick acknowledgements. I want to acknowledge the 1,443 Westlanders that put a tick next to my name in support of my transition from the Western District Council to the West Coast Regional Council, as well as thanking Simon Cameron and Patrick Phelps, my two nominators, two great young posters doing great things for both their place and their industries. I appreciate the support that's been put behind me and acknowledge the responsibility this comes with. I now want to return on this for those who did vote for me, those who didn't vote for me, and those who live in the two northern districts that didn't have the opportunity to. I look forward to tackling the challenges in front of us, and there's a lot of them over the next 3 years with the fellow 6 elected members here, our iwi partners, Darryl and his team. And to close, I just want to acknowledge the support my network give me, especially my wife Charlotte, who's holding down 2 young monkeys at home, which enables me to hold roles like this and do my thing. Thank you.
Mr. John Cole, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform the best interest of the West Coast region, power, authorities, and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Act, the Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
I, Peter Ewan, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the West Coast region the power, authorities, and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
I, Mark Anthony McIntyre, declare that I will faithfully and importantly, in accordance to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform the best interests of the West Coast region and power authorities, and the duties vested or imposed upon me as a member of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Governments Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information Meeting Act 1987, or any other act. Yeah.
I, Colin Smith, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the West Coast region the power, authorities, and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Well, thank you, now councillors, for swearing that oath and welcome on board to West Coast Regional Council in the start of the triennium. At this stage in the meeting, I would just like to take the opportunity to acknowledge for the next 3 years our treaty partners that will also sit at this table, and welcome this morning to Francois Tumuhai, but the treaty partners of Ngāti Waewae and Ngāti Mahaki will be represented over the next 3 years on our various council and committees through Francois Tumuhai, Paul Madgwick and Jackie Douglas, and the ongoing support and partnership that we have with you all as a long-standing part of this council. So welcome to this triennium as well, Francois. We now move into the next part of the proceedings, which is the election of the chair.
No, I've got a system of voting.
Yes, and so the first thing we need to do in that process, thanks, Meryl, is decide on the election of voting. And in your papers, it's outlined there is 2 ways of voting. That's A and B under the Local Government Act. And I'll just get Meryl to read those out for you.
Sure. So a recommendation that we're deciding on today is that council resolves to either adopt system A for the election of the chair and deputy chair, or adopt system B for the election of the chair and deputy chair.
Let me explain those.
Thanks, Jane.
So if I just explain what that means, system A means that you keep voting until one candidate gets a majority of votes, or system B means that the person who receives the most votes basically is elected.
Thank you. Hope that's clear, councillors. So do I have a mover for either A or B?
I'll move method B.
Thank you, councillor Smith. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Mark, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. That's passed. So we're opting for method B. Thank you. So then it falls on me to call for a nomination under method B for the nomination for the chair of the West Coast Regional Council. Do I have a mover for that, please?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Colin Smith.
Thank you, councillor Ewan. Do I hear a seconder for that motion?
I think Alan Birchfield was the first one to, yeah.
Thank you, councillor Birchfield. I'll put that for the election of the chair of the West Coast Regional Council for the next 3 years of this triennium. Do I? Okay. Is there any other nominations that anyone would like to pose? No, thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'll put that. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay,
Yeah.
so we can record that that was a unanimous
Yes.
unanimous vote. Thank you. And can I just, on behalf of the staff and everybody, Colin, with that passing, congratulations on your election as the chair of the West Coast Regional Council. And at this point, I'll quite happily vacate the seat and you can come and sit here. Thank you.
So I understand we need to choose the chair. Yes, so I think there's a separate. Yeah.
Okay, I, Colin Neil-Smith, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the West Coast region, power, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as chair of the West Coast Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information Meetings Act 1987, and any other act.
Okay, so at this point, you can resume the seat and we will now go through the election of the deputy.
If you will all bear with me, I'd just like to say for a start, thank you to all of you as councillors for your vote of confidence. Me in taking the role of chair. It's a privilege to be on this council. It is even greater privilege to be chair, and I can assure you that I will do my very, very best to lead this council to the best of my ability. And I just want to read from, this is part of the campaign, and this is what I would like to see us as a council achieve going forward, and that is the establishment of a governance team at the council that works together in a collective, collaborative and positive way so as to provide effective leadership for our management team, to enable them to efficiently and cost effectively carry out their job on behalf of all of us as ratepayers. Having a well-functioning and positive team around the council table will not only make the role of the councillors more effective, but will have a positive benefit right across the organisation, leading to improved outcomes and cost savings. So that's what I would like to see us as a team achieve in the next 3 years. A collective, collaborative, well-functioning team providing good governance and leadership to our management team to enable them to do their job to the best of their ability. So thank you once again for your vote of confidence. Now moving on to election of deputy chair. So I call for nominations of deputy chair.
I would like to back an deputy chair.
Thanks, Chris. Seconder. Thanks, Andy. Any further nominations? There being no further nominations, I'll put the nomination. All in favour? Against? Any abstention? Motion carried. Well done, Mark.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're now adjourning for photos. Okay, councillors, going to item 9 on the agenda. And Joe, if you can just give us some background on that one.
Yes. This is a requirement by the Local Government Act that we ensure that you are aware of these statutes. In particular, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, and moving through from there with a very long list of acts. So this is just to ensure that you're aware of the legal obligations as councillor. Many of them you already know about, but just acknowledging under we call it the Employment Act, usually is how we term it, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, that requires official information is any information held by a local authority, and we need to be able to make that available if people request it. So there's a whole heap of information on there about that for you to read at your leisure. And it also notes in there the delegations manual for how we work when people request information under the Lagoima Act. The other one in there around through Lagoima is how we run council meetings. So when we can decide that an agenda item is going to be public excluded, and also it talks about how we need to conduct ourselves in these meetings and how the agendas and reports work. Noting that we make the agendas and reports available to the public at least 2 working days before an ordinary meeting and as soon as we can for an extraordinary meeting. So traditionally, we try to get the papers out on the website on the Friday for a Tuesday meeting, just so you're aware. We have there the Local Authorities Members Interest Act, 1968. So that talks about participating in matters of council with pecuniary interest, and essentially says that you need special permission to enter in any contracts with the council that are worth more than $25,000 in a financial year. That also talks about pecuniary interests that you need to register, and we will require you to fill in a form outlining your pecuniary interests, and that can be put on the website in February. They also, just drawing your attention, the Crimes Act 1961, just noting that it creates offences for corruption and corrupt use of information, and it is unlawful for an official to corruptly accept a bribe for acting or not acting in relation to the business of council, and it is unlawful for an official to use information gained in the course of their duties for their or another person's monetary gain or advantage. And we've got the Secret Commission Act, which talks about entering into a contract with a third person and receiving a gift or reward as a result of that. And we've got the Financial Markets Conduct Act, which notes that councillors have the same responsibilities as those of company directors, and the Health and Safety Act, which notes that councillors and the chief executive are officers under the Act. So you have obligations to ensure that we are managing our health and safety matters well, essentially, in a very short update on that. Thank you. And I think you just need to note this.
Thanks, Joe. So,
Joe, just on the pecuniary interest, is it not better practice for us to do that at the start of the training as opposed to waiting until February?
Yes, we need to get the forms out to you. We must have them up on the website
Right.
by February. Yeah.
so any other questions, councillors? Okay, so the recommendation that's before us is that it is recommended that council resolve to receive this explanation of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and other statutes affecting members. Do I have a mover?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thanks, Mark. Seconder? Thanks, Alan. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to number 10, establishment of committee structure and delegations. Joe, do you have?
Yes, I can provide an update on that. So essentially what happened is at the end of the triennium, all of the committees get discharged. And so you need to reinstate the committees that you want to maintain as a council. This year, we've made a recommendation that we keep all of the committees that are existing, except that we're going to change the name of what was the Resource Management Committee to the Environmental Management Committee. And we're seeking to introduce an additional committee, which is the Tenders Committee, to be able to review tenders as they come through, because we've got a fair few capital works that we're projecting to be coming up in the near future. So I'm not going to take you through all of the terms of reference for those committees. I'm going to take it that you have read all of those. But essentially, there's two parts to the recommendation here. The first is that you need to establish the committees and adopt the terms of reference, and then we will capture those in the delegations manual so that they become part of our legal documents. And then the second part of this is that you need to elect the members for the committees and the chairpersons.
Thanks, Joe. Any discussion or questions, councillors? Okay, so the recommendation before us is to receive the report and in accordance with clause 31A, Schedule 7 of the Local Government Act 2002, approve the establishment of the following committees. A, Environment Management Committee, B, Operations Committee, C, Corporate Services Committee, D, Risk and Assurance Committee, E, Remuneration and Employment Committee, F, the Tenders Committee, and also to adopt the terms of reference for each committee as included in attachments 1 to 6. Note the terms of reference for council included as attachment 7 and update the delegations manual with the adopted terms of reference and appointments to this resolution. Do I have a mover for that motion? Thanks, Andy. Seconder? Thanks, Chris. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, then moving on to the Environment Management Committee. We need to appoint all elected members to the Environment Management Committee, and I call for nominations for a councillor as chair of that committee.
I'd like to nominate through the chair, Chris Cole.
Thanks, Mark.
Seconded.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. We also need to appoint a representative of Te Rananga Ngāti Waewae and on the Environmental Management Committee, and appoint a representative of Te Rananga o Makawhio on the Environment Management Committee. Would somebody like to move that? Andy?
Yeah, I second that.
Seconder. Thanks, Mark. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, then we move on to the Operations Committee, and that is to appoint all elected members to the Operations Committee, and we need to, and I call for nominations for chair of that committee. Thanks, Andy.
I can second that.
Thanks, Andy. Ashley? So any further discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, and with regard to that committee also, we need to appoint a representative of Te Rananga o Ngāti Waewae on the Operations Committee, and appoint a representative of Te Rananga o Makawhio on the Operations Committee. Do I have a mover for that? Thanks, Chris. Seconder. Thanks, Peter. All in favour? Against? Abstention? Motion carried. So the next one is the Corporate Services Committee. And at 12, appoint all elected members to the Corporate Services Committee. Appoint a representative of Te Rananga o Ngāti Waewae, and appoint a representative of Te Rananga o Makawhio, and also to appoint a chair. I call for nominations for chair of that committee.
Through the chair, I'd like to nominate Ashley.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Peter. Seconded, Peter. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Now, the next committee is the Risk and Assurance Committee. And here we need to appoint all elected members to the Risk and Insurance Committee, and to note that Graham McGlynn remains as independent chair of the Risk and Audit Committee. Do I have a mover?
That's
Thanks, Mark. Seconder. Thanks, Ashley. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Moving on to the Remuneration and Employment Committee. 17 is to appoint all elected members to the Remuneration and Employment Committee, and also appoint the chair of Te Runga o Ngāti Waiwai on the Remuneration and Employment Committee, as well as appointing a chair to that committee. Do I have any nominations?
Nominate myself.
Thanks, Peter. Seconder. Thanks, Andy. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, and then on to the Tenders Committee. Now here we need to appoint 4 councillors and also a chair. So first of all, I call for nominations for 4 councillors on that committee.
You want the 4 individually as we go?
If you want to move the 4 that you want to move to be on that committee.
Well, I'd like to move Councillor McIntyre, Councillor Campbell, yourself, and I'd like to nominate myself for that position too.
Seconder for that motion?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favour?
Don't you have to nominate someone as the chair of that committee?
Okay, should we move the appointment of those 4 and then call for nominations for the chair? So in terms of this, where the motion on the floor is for the 4 councillors named. So all in favour? Against? Any abstention? Motion carried. I now call for nominations for chair of that committee. Andy?
I'd like to make that.
Thanks, Andy. Seconder? Thanks, Chris. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, now we move on to item 11, appointment of council members on Regional Council Transport Committee. And Joe, do you have anything you want to add to this one, or?
Just noting, councillors, that we've moved to page 39 of your papers. The difference that were there. And this is a legal requirement under section 105 of the Land Transport Management Act that we establish this regional transport committee. Traditionally, we have 2 elected members of regional council appointed, and they will be the chair and deputy chair of the committee.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions of Joe? Discussion? Okay, so the recommendation is, it's recommended that council resolve to receive the report, to establish the regional transport committee, and then we need to appoint a councillor as chair of the regional transport committee, and also to appoint a councillor as deputy chair of the regional transport committee. And I'd like to add to that motion and appoint an alternate to the regional transport committee. So first of all, calling for nominations for chair of the regional transport committee. Andy?
There you go.
Thanks. Seconder? Mark? Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Next one is to appoint a councillor as deputy chair of the regional transport committee. Any nominations?
I'll nominate Andy Campbell.
Thanks, Mark. Seconder? Thanks, Ashley. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. And also the appointment of an alternate to the Regional Transport Committee.
Councillor McIntyre.
Thanks, Peter. Seconder. Thanks, Andy. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. We're now moving on to item 12, appointments of council members on the Tai Patini Plan Committee. And Joe, have you got any updates for us here?
Certainly, as you know, this was established under the Local Government Reorganisation Scheme Order in 2019. So it is now a permanent joint committee that we run with the 4 West Coast councils and iwi for the Te Tai Patini plan. We have membership specified as being the chairperson of the regional council and 1 other elected member to be appointed from the council for this role.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions or discussions? Okay. So the recommendation before us is recommended that council resolve to confirm it's as chair of the West Coast Regional Council as a member of the Te Patini Plan Committee. So call for nominations.
Through the chair, I'd like to nominate Ashley.
As chair of that committee?
Correct.
Okay. Seconder? Thanks.
Mr. Chair, if I could just confirm that you are automatically nominated as the chairperson,
Right.
and then we have a second person to come in, which has been nominated as
Ashley.
Okay. So do we need to confirm the position of myself as chair?
Yes.
Okay. So would somebody like to move the confirmation of myself as chair? Thanks, Ashley. Seconder? Thanks, Mark. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Now, we also need to appoint as the second West Coast Regional Council member on the committee. So nominations for the second councillor?
Oh. Ashley, yeah, it's Ashley.
Thanks, Mark. Seconder? Thanks, Chris. Any discussion?
For clarity, that committee has an independent chair who presides over it, and when he's away, the host council will chair that meeting if he's not present.
Thanks, Ashley. Yep. Any other discussion? All right. So all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to item 13, appointment of council members on joint committees and DWC appointment panel. Joe?
So this is again sort of identifying the members who will be on each of our standing joint committees that we have. So that's the West Coast Civil Defence Emergency Management Group, the Franz Joseph Rating District, Hukatika Rating District Joint Committee, Greymouth Rating District, and Westport Rating District. Traditionally, you will find that for most of them, for the rating district ones, we tend to have the local representative as members and then 1 other. But we can work through each of those individually. Is probably the best way to do it.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions or discussion? Okay, so the first one is to receive the report and then to appoint 2 councillors. So the first councillor, I call nominations for the first councillor. Is it? Automatic myself. Okay, so we're calling for confirmation of myself. Is that right? As one of those councillors, and we're calling for nominations for an alternate to the West Coast Civil Defence Emergency Management Group.
That's on that Chris Carr for that position, please.
Thanks, Ashley.
And I'd like to second that.
Thanks, Mark. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay. Now, the next one is the Greymouth Rating District Joint Committee. And so okay. So here we have the chair and two councillors. So I'll call for nominations.
They're automatically the Grey constituency.
Okay.
councillors,
So we
it's
just
confirming.
move confirmation. Okay. So could somebody move confirmation of the appointment of Chair Colin Smith, Councillor Peter Ewan, and Councillor Alan Birchfield to the Greymouth Rating Committee? Thanks, Mark. Seconded. Thanks, Andy. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
And then just number 4.
And so that's a confirmation as well.
Yes.
Yep.
That you're the chair.
Okay, so I call for confirmation of myself as chair of the Greymouth Rating District Joint Committee until the 31st of October 2026. Do I have a mover for that? Thanks, Mark. Seconder. Thanks, Chris. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Then the next one is the Westport Rating District Joint Committee. So again, is that confirmation? Okay, so this we're calling for confirmation of the appointment of Chair Colin Smith, Councillor Mark McIntyre, and Councillor Chris Cole to the Westport Rating District Joint Committee. Do I have a mover for that? Thanks, Ashley. Seconder. Thanks, Peter. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, we go through to the next one is the Hokitika Rating District Joint Committee. Same thing. So in terms of the Hokitika Rating District Joint Committee, we need a mover to confirm appointment of Colin Smith, Chair, Councillor Ashley Casson, and Councillor Andy Campbell to the Hokitika Rating District Joint Committee. Do I have a mover for that?
Yeah, move that, Chair.
Thanks, Mark. Seconder. Thanks, Chris. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. So then we move on to the Franz Joseph Rating District Joint Committee. So first of all, and this is the confirmation.
Yes.
So first of all, we need a motion to confirm the appointment of Chair Colin, Councillor Ashley Casson, and Councillor Andy Campbell to the Franz Joseph Rating District Joint Committee. We have a move for that. Thanks, Peter. Seconder. Thanks, Alan. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Abstention? Motion carried. We then need to move on to appoint a chair of the Franz Joseph Rating District Joint Committee until the 31st of October 2026. Do we have nominations for that?
It's not,
Is it not?
no, it can be a nomination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so I put that to the floor. Do we have a nomination for chair of that committee?
So, no?
I'll remember Ashley.
Well,
Yeah, second Ashley.
Thanks. I'll withdraw from chair. will indicate that I don't want to be chair of that position. So the nomination on the floor is Ashley.
Yes.
It's good. And so Mark, you've nominated and Andy second. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, and then we move on to the appointment, and this is a confirmation, is it? A nomination, okay. So a move on to a council representative on the appointments panel of Development West Coast. Do we have a nomination for that position?
I'd like to nominate myself as chair, Colin.
Thanks, Ashley. Seconder?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, so we move on to item 14, standing orders and code of conduct. Joe?
Yes, thank you. Just noting, councillors, we moved to page 118 on our papers. So just noting that we are required as council to work under a set of standing orders and our code of conduct. The standing orders set out how we run our meetings and how we work together as a council at this table. And the code of conduct sets out the expectations and behaviours of councillors. So we have a current set and they're currently being reviewed at the moment, and there will be a new version of the standing orders and the code of conduct coming nationally to be implemented under an amendment bill, local government systems improvement amendment bill. So what we're recommending at this stage is that you just adopt the standing orders and the code of conduct as they are, and acknowledge that we will likely get a new set once that bill comes into force. So there's no point in altering them at the moment. The only thing that we note to bring to your attention is that currently you do not have a casting vote in your standing orders, and it is up to you as a council to decide whether you want to introduce a casting vote or not.
Thanks, Joe. Any discussion? Alan?
We've got an uneven number of councillors, so we'll be tied. So we don't sing vote. Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so I'll just read the recommendation, and then maybe you want to move that, Alan. It is recommended that council resolve to receive the report, continue with the current standing orders and code of conduct until such time as the national versions are available for council to adopt. And I take it, Councillor Birchfield, that your motion would be to not adopt clause 19.3. Chairperson has a casting vote. So that would mean the chairperson would not have a casting vote.
Correct. I'll move that.
Thanks, Alan. Do I have a seconder for that? Thanks, Ashley. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
If I might, Chair Smith, I'd also note that there's a fourth point to that needs to be up over the page for you.
Oh, yes. Also, so this is requiring a further motion. Note that all elected members must comply with the West Coast Regional Council 2022 standing orders and the West Coast Regional Council 2022 Code of Conduct. Do I have a mover for that? Thanks, Mark. Seconder. Thanks, Chris. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. Thanks for that. Moving on to item 15, schedule of meetings for the remainder of 2025 and 2026. You've all had an opportunity to review that schedule. Okay, so the recommendation is that it is recommended that council resolve to receive the report and adopt the 2025 and 2026 schedule of meetings as outlined in attachment 1. Mover for that motion? Moved, thanks Chris. Seconder? Thanks Ashley. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
Through the chair, can I just, it might be a dumb question. Item number 14. Explain to me, if all 7 councillors aren't at a meeting, say there's 6, whatever reason, where does that stand as far as the council goes? All I was asked for an explanation.
Joe, do you want?
Alan, do you know? Councillor Beechfield, do you know?
Well, you've got a point. Yeah. But I said it was 7,
If we're all present.
yes.
So if we're not all present, there's 4 of us, say, or 6 of us, for an even number. Where does that stand? I just, I don't understand.
Where's the status of play? Let's go back to the lost.
So say that again.
Normally it stays as the status quo, the motion gets lost.
Does that need to be noted in that recommendation if councillors aren't present?
Standing orders.
If it's an even number?
So in standing orders, that would mean you can't come to a decision.
No.
Traditionally, what we've found, I think we've had 1 or 2 situations, we found that the council tends to just keep debating until they can reach a point where they can.
If you've got an even number.
Yes.
agree.
Yeah. As long as we've got an understanding of that, because odd numbers, like Alan explained, is very simple. You're not gonna, if you have 6 if someone's away, 6 or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, okay, thank you.
No, good question, Karen.
Does that could have, I was going to mention before, because that could come into effect when you have the conflict of interest as well.
Yes, it could.
Well, if you have to stand out, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, there's a couple of other instances where an even number come about. One is, as you say, for a conflict of interest declaration. Another one is an abstention.
Yes.
So with 7 people, was quite often going to be a case where there is an even number.
So, Mr. Chairman, in the last couple of years, just over 2 years of my time, like Joe said, there's only been one real time where there was a bit of stalemate because of an even number, and it was debated through to a conclusion.
Yeah.
So while it's a possibility, it hasn't in the last couple of years borne out to be very much in reality.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chair, we shouldn't forget that every 2 particular meetings have a voting right.
Yes.
So that's always, so effectively we may have 8.
Yes. Thanks, Councillor Ewan.
Thank you. For another.
Okay. All right, so elected members' remuneration. Joe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So basically, this sets out how we establish remuneration for the elected members. The paper gives you one option that we have identified as a potential for how you might do this. So essentially what happens is that we are required to pay the chairperson 110,914, and that leaves us with a pool of $378,658 that needs to be allocated across the other 6 elected members. What we have proposed here is an acknowledgement of the deputy chair as receiving either 65 or 70% of what the chairperson is receiving. And then we have recommended to you that all other councillors get an even amount across the board. The reason that we've recommended that is to acknowledge that every councillor has a relatively high workload when you start to bring into account the different committees, the different chairing roles and the rating districts. So rather than having 1 to 2 councillors chairing all of the different committees, you've got quite an even spread. So hence the recommendation. We do have time if you wish to not take up the proposed option and you would like us to go back and come up with any additional options. We couldn't come up with additional ones until today because we didn't know how you were going to vote for your different roles. So we do have time and we could bring back alternative options to the October meeting should you desire.
Thanks, Joe. Open to discussion. And Joe, just tell me what's in terms of percentage, what's the current percentage? The Deputy Chair, what?
I think he is currently on, was it the 70 or was it the 60?
55 is very similar to current ratio.
Yeah.
Right, okay. All right, so does somebody, so it's either, so the recommendation is that it's recommended the council resolve to receive the report and either adopt scenario 1 with a percentage relativity of either 65 or 70% for the Deputy Chair as their recommendation to the Remuneration Authority. So if maybe we, would somebody like to move what percentage this council should apply to the Deputy Chair role?
I think the status quo, Mr. Chairman.
I agree with that, 65, I'm allowed to put more, and even under the vote. I recommend.
Thanks, Mark. So were you moving, you're moving 65?
Happy to second that.
Thanks, Ashley. Okay, any further discussion? All right, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. And then carrying on, so then it's the recommendation, we'll move the recommendation as per 1, 2 and 3 with the 65%. Would somebody like to move that?
I got all movement.
Thanks, Mark. Seconder. Thanks, Peter. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, now there's just one further matter that I would like to add to our agenda that's not on the agenda before us. And that is, just so that it's on the record, I want to just express my gratitude to the West Coast Regional Council staff. I know as a newly elected councillor, the staff have been incredibly supportive. They've provided very good process for it. They've made it very easy. And I'd also like to say that in terms of my interactions with the West Coast Regional Council team, not that I've been all around the team yet, but I would just like to move a motion in terms of having confidence in our team and also in support of our team, including our CEO, Daryl Liu. So I'd like to put that motion on the floor. Moved Mark, seconded Peter. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay. Okay, closing comments, Daryl.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and once again, on behalf of all the staff, congratulations, councillors. That was remarkably smooth meeting, and thank you all for sorting that out for the staff and enabling that to be recorded in an efficient manner. The next 3 years, and I think I always say that 3 years will probably be different from the last 3 years, and there's nothing shorter than that. We have a big work program ahead of us. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're definitely on track. And I think the foundations that we find ourselves in today to start this new triennium is I think, substantially different and improved from perhaps where the incumbent councillors from the last 3 years started. And that's a positive thing, and that's due to previous council leadership in the last triennium and the staff's hard work, but also look forward to going forward on all of those work fronts over the next 3 years. What I would say to the returning councillors, but especially to you, Chairman, and Councillor Casson, but it was very common to hear from new councillors in the regional council that they're surprised at the width and the breadth of the work that a regional council does. The remit of a regional council is very large. We operate under a lot of different acts, and there's not a good understanding, I think, in any community in New Zealand around the width and breadth of that work that a regional council does. And I think that could be a good challenge, both politically and from a staff perspective, this triennium to try and communicate that better. So we do have a large remit, and it's important to think about going forward how best to deliver those services as functions, and then the form will follow. So function over form, I think, is very necessary here. So with that, the staff give you all the support for the next 3 years, and welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you. And look, I'd just like to pick up on what Daryl said. As a new councillor, I was very surprised at the diversity and complexity of the role of the regional council. And I would have considered myself one of the more informed members of the community, but I obviously wasn't. But it is a pretty complex job, and the statutory obligations that the council has to follow are pretty diverse and pretty wide ranging. So it's certainly been an eye opener for me, and I certainly endorse what Daryl has said, that somehow we need to get that understanding out into our community so that they do understand the complexities of the roles that the council takes. And I'd also like to finally add a very big thank you to Mark, to Chris, and also to Peter. As existing councillors, they've been very, very helpful to me as a new candidate. And Peter, your institutional knowledge has been incredibly helpful. So thank you to all. Thank you to you, and also Joe and Meryl. Thanks very much for helping me through this process. Thank you. So, do I declare the meeting closed? Yes. Do I? Okay, I declare this meeting closed at